Hello everybody and welcome to this first event on how to develop your business in France. We have gathered a range of experts in all the services you should, or about all you should know in how to develop your business in France. So I'm not going to be long. I'm going to share my screen. And in order that we can start very quickly on the session. So we will start where to set up and what you should know about France with Louisa Delattre, who is the Inward Investment Advisor at Hello Lille. So she's based is north of France. Louisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everybody, and thanks for being with us today. So my name is Louisa, and I work for the Lille Metropole Development Agencies, Hello Lille. And I'd like to start by the different steps that you should consider before considering your localization in France. First is would be to know where is your market. So you take a map, and then you can check where are your clients. And then you do the same job with your suppliers. Where are they? And then thirdly, I would suggest to do the same job with the service providers, because you cannot set up your business on your own. You're going to need your service providers for your logistics, warehousing, customer care, or even IT or marketing. So let's have a look at where they are. And finally, let's talk about the talents. If you need some special skills in your workforce, like data scientist, engineer, or whatever, you better check before where are the schools and where are the talents. And then once you've done the little research, then you have to keep in mind that this localization needs to be close to your headquarters in the UK. So how accessible is the location that you choose on the map? How do you get there? How long does it take? Can you go by train, plane, car, boat, whatever? But this has to be easy and accessible. On my second slide, I'd like to introduce you is who to rely on and get advices. That's very important. So once you choose your localization, you have to know the French clusters by industries. So make your peers' journey, because you're not the first one who open French offices in France. Obviously, so there are plenty of other players. So get to know them and just exchange with them how the journey has been, what has been their issues, and how is based their success. That's very, very important. So you're not on your own, and really you have to find the best companies, UK company who's done the same job as you do. Then for your business development, that's something important that you can start before choosing your localization. There's different ways. I would suggest 3 of them to lower the risk. The first one would be to find a local player who could explore leads on your behalf. There's plenty of player, business development consultant that could help you. If your budget is lower, you can, and you want to minimize the risk, you can contact one of the business schools, international business schools present locally. They always have trainees or internships, and they do have junior business enterprises that could do the market research for you or analyze the supply chain. They're very cheap and they're doing a great job. So feel free to contact them. It's a great thing to explore. And yes, and the last one, but not the least, is to contact the local economic development agency. Mine is Hello Lille. So Lille is located on the top north of France. It's one of the major cities above Paris with 1.2 million inhabitants. Pretty young, 35% of the population is under 25, lots of students. But our main strength is to be linked by train to London. So it takes 80 minutes to go from Lille city center to London city center. So wherever you're based in the UK, it's very, very easy to access to Lille by train. There is 9 return tickets per day, every day. So you can leave London in the morning or Manchester or whatever in the morning, arrive in Lille a few hours later, and then come back in the afternoon home. So, and just to specify that my job is to help you with your recruitment, find your premises, but mostly establish a link between you, your business, and the local ecosystems, and make your establishment in France a success. That's my priority. And just to specify, my services is pre-financed by the local authorities, therefore free of charge for any company. So feel free to contact me whenever you have questions about your strategy or about issue that you might have regarding your establishment in France. I'll be more than happy to help you out. Thank you.
Thank you, Wiza, for this discovery of Lille and its services. Now we are going to discuss about how to set up a business in France with Stéphane Bernard-Méjean. Stéphane.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Louisa. Good morning to all of you. So wherever you want to establish Lille or in any city in France, there is a different way to set up a business. But in fact, basically, there is in fact 2 ways to set up a business. The first is to create an establishment of the foreign company. This establishment can be either a liaison office or a branch. The second way is to create a legal entity separate from the parent company and subject to French company law. Each of these 3 entities has its own logic and characteristic as detailed in the following slide. But in summary, the liaison office cannot carry out any economic activity. It is generally created for a fairly short period in order to explore the local market on behalf of the parent company. And the branch or the subsidiary performs an economic activity, but one is an establishment of the parent company, while the other is a separate legal entity. So if we go on the next slide, Catherine.
Yes, sorry.
I will try to summarize. The liaison office or agency is not, again, a new legal entity. It is used to represent the parent company business in France. The agency basically serves to build up a relation with French and foreign partners, suppliers or customers, to arrange advertising in various media, to present products and services, take part in trade fairs, or even open showroom. It's quite common. Again, the agency cannot carry out any commercial activity. Only the parent company can issue invoice and sign commercial contract. It's very important because as soon as you sign commercial contract, the tax authority will say that you have a permanent establishment in France. The liaison office has no accounting obligation as it does not carry out any economic activity. And there is no need to apply for a KBIS, which is a certificate of incorporation, but it can be useful in some case, you know, when you want to open a bank account or to pick register letter at the post office, to open a phone line, etc. So it's a very light structure, and usually After that, after you have explored the local market, it's usually transformed in a branch or in subsidiary. So the branch is considered as a stable establishment. It carries out the activity of the parent company without having its own specific legal entity. Juridically, it's not a separate entity. It's an establishment of the foreign company. The fact that it runs a business and making sales imply, of course, that account must be kept in France in compliance with the local rules. Annual financial statements are required, including an annual corporate income tax return, and the branch is subject as well to usual business tax in France. Subsidiary. So subsidiary is a legal entity separate from the parent company. Usually the parent company owns more than 50% of its sub. But as a sub carries out an economic activity, must therefore also keep accounts and file financial statement. Like the branch, it is as well subject to business tax, CIT, VAT, etc. And the form of the subsidiary is generally Société Anonyme, SARL, but Etienne will come back on this aspect. So I, as a CPA in France, as a member of the Chamber, Franco-British Chamber of Commerce, I would be more than happy to assist you if you want to, if you need some accounting services or any advice about this. Thank you to all of you.
Thank you, Stéphane. So now we are going to hand over the floor to Etienne Pujol, who are going to talk about what are the legal constraints, Vademecum of basic.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Catherine. Yes, so I'm a partner with Berry Law, the law firm of the platform Your Expert in France, and I wanted to address with you a couple of issues regarding what you need to have in mind. And this is the rationale behind the Vademecum, what you have to have in mind when you want to set up your activity in France. The first topics you may want to address is, as Stéphane just pointed out, the corporate structure. If you want to set up your fully owned subsidiary, then you have to ask yourself what the legal structure can be, whether it's an SAS or an SARL. Then you have to address who your legal representative would be, and then ask yourself and wonder what the premises would be in France. So the first aspect is what kind of corporate structure in France. The two main structures that are contemplated by foreign investors are the SAS or the SARL. Both of them need at least one shareholder, so there is no very differentiation between them in this respect. With respect to share capital, ditto. I mean, there's no minimum set forth by law, so you can be from a minimum share capital to whatever the amount can be, and there need to be at least one legal representative, but it can be more than that. The name of the legal representative with an SRL would be a gérant, while for an SAS it would be a président. The differences between the two legal structure will be that an SAS can issue several types of shares, while this is not the case for an SRL. And there is more flexibility in the way your subsidiary can be run with an SAS rather than an SRL, because it is for SRL it is framed by the French Commercial Code. So there is not that much flexibility in the way you want to run your subsidiary. And last but not least, if you at some point you want to sell shares of your subsidiary, it's less expensive to sell shares of an SAS than for an SARL. For the legal representative, it can be an individual in both cases, but if you want to have your parent company, so your UK-based legal entity as a legal rep of your fully owned subsidiary, it can only be so through the SAS structure, not the SRL, which can be run only by an individual. So this, you may have to have that in mind. With respect to the location of premises, if you want to set up in Lille, for instance, following what Louisa just said, you may want to rent premises, in which case you have to go through the rental agreement, but it can also be the home address of your legal rep. If you want to hire someone in France to be the legal rep of your subsidiary, it can be his home address, subject to certain conditions. I don't have time to go into greater details in this respect, but this is one thing that you may want to envisage. The last point, but it will be covered at a later stage by Philippe, and it's the more difficult thing to do when you want to set up your subsidiary, will be to open a bank account, but it needs a full focus on that, and Philippe will address that in a minute. The second category of elements, of legal elements that you would like to address are the employment aspects. It's very, you know that France is very peculiar in terms as far as employment law is concerned. So I would like to have in mind, you to have in mind a couple of issues. The first one is to assess what the collective bargaining agreement will be for your fully owned subsidiary. It will mostly depend on the activity of your subsidiary. So this is something that will drive some type of collective relationship, including severance indemnity, notice period, minimum wage salary, and so on. So this is the first aspect to address. The second one will be the working time regulation. We have many questions regarding the working time regulation in France. You know that the minimum is set by law and it is 35 hours a week, but there are more flexible options that you may want to envisage, and the major one being what we call the forfait jour, which is a working time regulation set forth in days worked per year rather than hours worked per week, which is much more flexible. The average is 218 days worked a year. And the only thing you want to bother in this respect would be the rest time, the daily rest time or the weekly rest time of your employees. And so it's much easier to monitor when the manager is based abroad, and will focus on that in an atelier with Anne-Hélène in June in this respect. Another aspect you want to have in mind is the non-compete regulation. In France, it is framed by law. It needs to be indemnified. It needs to be limited to a geographical scope. It needs to be limited in its duration. And it needs to be limited also in the activities that the employee is refrained from implementing following termination of the employment contract. And the last one, and not the least one, especially for our UK colleagues, is the GDPR regulation. As long as the United Kingdom is no longer part of the EU, there are constraints in terms of transferring of personal data and HR-related personal data to the UK. So this you also need to have in mind while addressing your HR relationships. So that's it for me for the moment, but obviously legal constraints are there, and we'll have a framework in this respect.
Thank you, Etienne. So now that you have chosen your location in Lille, that you have chosen your legal structure, you need to open a bank account. So up to you, Philippe.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today for the beginning of your project in France. To start, I would like to introduce myself very briefly before I present the services we would be offering. My name is Philippe Allan. I am a business counselor working for CIC Bank, Crédit Industriel and Commercial for 20 years now, between which more than 8 years in the branch that I specialize in companies. I have gained in the dynamism required to provide a quality service. I possess a solid working knowledge of the financial industry and its procedure. My portfolio is made up of dynamic and demanding companies with a turnover between 10 and 1 million euros. Their activity are IT, tourism, pharmacy, industry, consulting, event, audiovisual too. So CIC Bank is a leading bank in France. Our branch, Étoile Entreprise, is located in the center of Paris, very close to Avenue des Champs-Élysées. Its parent company is Crédit Mutuel Alliance Fédérale. We collaborate with the client in order to meet their expectation by serving customer efficiently. In our branch, 2 business consular and 1 corporate administrator can provide efficient service to you or to our international customer. Providing a social engineering scheme in your company with employer saving offering. The saving scheme made it possible to interest employee in the smooth running of your company and to offer advantageous investment solution. Open an account for the capital deposit and issue a certificate for the registration of your company. Managing your account on the internet, wire transfer, holding a proxy, financial project, saving account. And we have a very developed partnership with our agency, which manage private clients. So we can provide banking service for your employee and your manager. With CIC Auto, the leasing car offer are flexible in terms of customer needs, lease term and kilometer travel. We provide insurance to cover your car with the minimum guarantee up to the maximum, like mechanic or electronic failure. Provide replacement car for the event of a breakdown. And we could help you to have an health insurance for your employee. You have to know that in France, worker and manager have signed an agreement introducing minimum supplementary healthcare provision. And this agreement was extended to all private sector employees by the French law that passed on 14 June 2013. So we offer a card. Its name is Avant Santé card. It's avoid paying cost upfront. Healthcare depends are only debit after being refunded by Social Security and the supplementary healthcare policy. The smartphone application offer too, you can access to all information by the internet, access to refund, detail of benefits, quotation, simulation, and this also can be used to send refund request immediately. So to finalize your request, we would need the legal and accounting documentation to your company in the UK and a business plan of your project in France. Contract will be signed in our office in Paris if all possible. However, if the situation requires, on an exceptional basis, we would be able to accommodate you with a signature in our London branch. So we will be pleased to collaborate with you and adapt our offers to your needs. To conclude, I will take from an English proverb, the shortest answer is doing. So thank you for your attention. I am looking forward for a strong, sustainable and great collaboration. Thanks.
Thank you, Philippe. So recruitment is an essential element for the development of your company in France. So Anne-Hélène will tell you everything about how the HR services is very important to settle your business in France.
Hi. Yeah, hi, everybody. So I'm Anne-Hélène Quarnec, and I'm a freelance HR business partner. I deliver HR services to foreign companies settled in France and really which has lost their way in the French compliance because France is a very difficult country in terms of compliance. Basically, according to me, there are 5 different topics that you need to settle your business in France. The first one is really the compliance with the French labor law. And as Etienne said, and we're working very closely with Etienne each time there is an issue in terms of law. And basically, what is very important is the fact to avoid legal risks in terms of HR. So, for example, if there are employment contract, addendum, rules for home office, which is an issue at the moment in France, and any kind of company agreement, accord d'entreprise, I'm working with my clients on this part. The second one for me is the recruitment and onboarding. There are some specific rules in France that need to be followed in terms of advertisement or also in terms of interviews. And my job is to help local managers to recruit and I would say onboard people in the right way. And by the time as well in terms of doing it legally. Another issue would be the performance management program that need to be implemented in France with the need to avoid cultural bias and to fully engage employees. In that terms, my job is to sell the evaluation programs to the employees who are usually quite reluctant to this type of issue. So I'm kind of buying between the corporate, the headquarters and the company in France. And another topic is very much general in the way to guide through general French HR requirements, such as the occupational doctor, the medical appointment, the training fund as well. Usually foreign companies are not aware that there are some governmental budget for training, and usually I'm the go-between the OPCO, which are the fundings and the company to get these fundings, and that's quite important as well. And last but not least, I would say the fifth topics on my side would be to the HR in France would allow to be the interface between the manager and the employees for the implementation of corporate culture, corporate rules and regulations. For example, in my role, I have some UK clients, and my role is to execute the company process and to have employee be involved and invested in this corporate process. So this according to me the five topics that are very important when you are settling your business in France. And to conclude, I would say that the local manager don't have time to lose with some HR issues, and it's quite important to have a local HR to ensure that all the compliance are done and the business is running properly. So a local HR is definitely helping settling the business in France. If you have any questions or any issues that you want to talk to about in terms of HR, do not hesitate either to throw your questions or to contact me directly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne-Hélène. Now that you have set your HR services, your human resources services, you have to take into account the constraints and benefits of hiring in France without a registered entity. Thomas,
Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everyone. My name is Thomas Bidot. I'm founder of French Payroll Expert, and as the name stated, I am a payroll expert. So I'll talk to you not specifically about payroll, but about one type of payroll, the employer with foreign employer without a fixed establishment. Basically, you heard before me that you could create an entity in France. It is not necessarily needed. And so you can go employ people in France without having a fixed establishment in France. The system is called the ESEF system. It has some constraints, of course. Nothing is all blue sky. The employee cannot sign any contract. Basically, you cannot do economic activity out of France. Everything must be signed by the mother company. That would be, in most of your case, in the UK. The company must not already have an office in France. That is extremely important. You cannot rent an office, for example. That's something that sometimes you forget, but when you rent an office, you create an establishment. So you must not have an office already in France. And of course, since you hire employees in France, your employee and yourself will be subject to the French labor law. So that also implies that you will need a French employment contract, or at least compatible with the French labor law in matters of terminations, trial period, vacations, and so on and so on. Of course, if there is constraints, there is also benefits. Excuse me, Catherine, could we change the slide, please? Thank you very much. Just one less, if possible. Well, too bad. So basically, there are benefits to being an employer without a fixed establishment in France. First of all, you have no booking in France. So it's really, everything is done in-house at your home office. No booking on French GAAP. There is no corporate tax in France. Now, you are not an entity, you don't pay corporate tax. And the third, there's another benefit, but I can't get it out of my head. Sorry for that. I'll send you the slideshow so you can review all of that. And don't hesitate to contact me if you have any other question. There is a registration to be done to be as a foreign employer without a fixed establishment. It's a bit simpler than for a full-blown company in France. You need to register to the Social Security, that is URSSAF. You need to register to the retirement, which is Malakoff Mederic, to a life and health insurance, which you can choose. You also need to register to the fiscal authorities and to the occupational medicine. That's it. Thank you, Catherine. There's really to use a system of foreign employer without a fixed establishment is just to have a foothold in France. A first step to taste the water in France to see if business is viable, and then upgrade, I would say, your status as a foreign employer without a fixed establishment up to a fixed establishment and a full entity in France. I will give you one advice. I've been doing payroll for almost 24 years now, and with foreign companies. And one advice that I can give you, whatever is your provider, whoever that might be, communicate. It is extremely important, whatever you do with your payroll provider, whoever it is, that you be able to communicate with him in English, in French, or in any other language that you both speak. But you need to communicate every time with your provider. It's extremely important. There's a risk in doing payroll in France, and your provider is the one to help you to alleviate this risk, but you need to communicate with him. That's my advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thomas. Another important issue to consider when you want to set up in France is taxation. So Philippe is going to talk about it.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Hello to everybody. I'm Philippe Talon. I'm the manager of AFC Tax Représentation Fiscale. We are tax representative. As you saw previously, your expert in France can help you to create an entity in France. That means a fixed establishment. But Thomas showed us a few minutes ago, it's also possible to avoid to have a fixed establishment. As a foreign company, you can be able to start a business in France without a fixed establishment. You are looking for a VAT registration in France, and you need to do a monthly declaration. A tax representative can help you. In some cases, it may be compulsory. This is the lightest way to start business in France without a fixed establishment. You can start or stop your business activity in almost 1 month. Then the commercial contracts must be signed directly by the mother company outside France. The company fiscally represented will have its own VAT number and identification number. You have also the possibility to have the employee in France without a fixed establishment. My company can help you for the withholding tax, the payment of the wage, and the social organism. In this case, we will work closely with the French payroll provider Astoma. It's compulsory to have a tax representative for the withholding tax, but significant change appears. The Brexit and the e-commerce obligation in 2021. The Franco-British Chamber organized already conference about those important topics. About the Brexit, the UK is now out of the EU, but the business is still open for both market for service and goods. Both parts, a new organization must be in place for the VAT, custom duties and formalities. You should use a strong partners who will help you. You really need anticipation for your business. About the e-commerce obligation in the EU, the changes are also important, especially in July of this year. The EU wants to collect the VAT with efficiency for each country and limit the fraud. For simple business, Europe decided to create the one-stop shop. It's a declaration process dedicated for European Union, non-European Union and importation. A company outside Europe may easily have a VAT number, a European VAT number. In all the case, you will have to deal with the marketplace responsibility, the monthly threshold, an intermediary for the monthly declaration, and to file the one-stop shop. The Brexit and the e-commerce obligation are important change for the UK company. The good thing is you can use a traditional tax representative like me, and you will be able to concentrate yourself on your business. This is the cheapest way to do business in France before creating a fixed establishment. As you know, the EU is an open market for the UK company. The tax representation will take care of your obligation in France. In many cases, it's compulsory to have a tax representative. We have to help. You have to be helped by professionals. Thank you.
Thank you, Philippe. Now, Stéphane will explain to you how to provide a health and life insurance plan to your staff in France. Up to you, Stéphane.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Catherine. Hello, everybody.
Do you hear, Stéphane? I don't think we...
We don't hear you anymore, Stéphane.
We've lost you, Stéphane.
Yes, completely. I think we have got a problem with Stéphane. We can't hear him anymore. It started well. We can't hear you, Stéphane. So I think we're going, okay. I'm really sorry for that. So Stéphane, what I suggest is that we go on this, because we have still two other person to talk to. I'm going to hand over to Paulette and come back to you if you agree with that. It's okay for you. Thank you, Stéphane. Paulette, what insurance you need for your business in France? Up to you.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine. Okay, so first I'll briefly just introduce Agence AXA International. We're a dedicated English-speaking agency. The agency is staffed by native English speakers with experience in the banking and insurance industries in the UK, Ireland, and the USA. We're based in France, although we're all native English speakers, we are in France, and we cover the whole of France. So a little explanation of how insurance agencies in France work. It's a little bit different to the UK. So all insurance agencies are independent, but working under the umbrella of a head office. So the service that we offer at Agence AXA International is not the same as, say, an agency in a local town. We're a specialised agency, English speaking, with knowledge and experience of dealing with international clients. So accessing insurance in France may be different, but the products are very, very similar to what you're used to in the UK. And our team can help to identify your needs and provide support for the transition of yours to your French base, no matter where it is. We can help bridge the differences with what seems like a familiar product in a new country and explain the challenges you may face in the early stages when you're struggling with not knowing what you don't know, if that makes sense. So on the next slide, it will explain the three main areas that you need to consider when you're looking at insurance in France for your business, your employees, and you as the employer. Like in the UK, public liability is important. We offer a tailor-made package that ensures your individual business rather than an off-the-shelf one-size-fits-all policy. Businesses in France, especially as we found businesses coming from the UK, are so different and so diverse. It don't necessarily, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. We're quite good at getting that square peg in that round hole. So say we can adapt the policy to cover you. We can also help insure vehicles if you have vehicles in France. It depends obviously on the size of your business in France. We can provide a fleet package, goods in transit, and much more. And to give you an example of one company that we've helped insure, they had no premises in France. We just insured their computers, their laptops, and their personal effects in an office space that they rented, and that's fine. So we can start at a very, very simple cover right up to insuring the whole premises and everything. For you, the employer, we can help you to meet your legal obligations, employee liability insurance, key person insurance, just exactly the same as you would expect in the UK. The cover's no different. Providing a company pension scheme for your employees isn't compulsory in France, but it can provide an attractive employee benefits package. As an agency, we can also help your employees. For example, if you have employees relocating to France, we can support them by having a bank account open for them before they arrive, ensure their new rental, and they can arrive in France and hit the ground running, ready to start work. All members of my team, including myself, have been through the relocation process, and we provide support and a friendly face in what can seem like an overwhelming experience. If you need any help, don't hesitate to get in touch. Thank you.
Thank you, Paulette. Thank you very much. So now that's Claire, who is going to talk about 4 steps to be successful in your services and e-commerce business in France. Up to you, Claire.
Thank you very much, Catherine. I will make the link with what Louisa said as an introduction and going more into business and marketing strategies. So a bit different from, I mean, complementary to banks and legal and insurance, etc. So I will share 4 elements that you could do to succeed in your services and e-commerce businesses in France, but other businesses as well. And the first one is to perfectly know the market. So there are some customer trends. They are a reality for France, but probably no surprise for you if you're based in the UK or in any other country, where a customer expects more about circular economy, localized, and localized means made in France, which might be a problem for people selling in France not being French, and sustainable. And an experience that would be seamless, which means whatever the channel you use to contact your provider, it should be the same kind of experience with no disruption. A digital experience that needs to be increased, of course, and especially since COVID, we expect a lot more from digital, let's say, supplies, etc. We also expect customer-facing staff to act a little bit as superheroes. They should solve everything, whatever if they are customer service or sales or any other kind of position. We expect a lot from them. We are very demanding as customers. And hyper-personalized services. Even if it's not a VIP service, we expect to be treated as a VIP and get something very special for ourselves. So the first step is to know the market and do some market research. You can do, as Louisa was suggesting, get the help from junior schools, etc., to get the first level of market research. You can do deeper and do kind of ethno-marketing and have people observing the behaviors of your future clients in situation, and it would give you a lot of information. Of course, surveys, benchmarks, and online research that you can do to know your market. The second step is, Catherine, if you can go, yes, thank you, that you need to adjust your services. You might think that your services are completely universal. It might be it might be true, but not totally. So what we suggest is that if you have customer journeys, for instance, or documents describing your services in details, then it should be good to audit them and have a look at them in detail with respect to the French market, and checking whether you should adapt details of your service offering to the French market. Then if you have digital services or an e-commerce website, etc., it would be good to do some UX studies, UX meaning user experience, to check what would be the reactions of French consumers to your digital services, if it was well translated, if the way to access the information is completely natural to French citizens. And the same if you have non-digital or for the non-digital part of your offering, it would be really useful to organize, for instance, focus groups to make people react on your suggested offer and adapt, of course. And the last thing is to not forget that your customer service, that is delivering information, taking orders, etc., should be based in France and or with French natives, because it would be a great added value. Third element is to, once you exactly first know your market, then have adapted your offering, then you have to deliver with excellent local customer services and sales. So if you are UK based, the customer service mindset in the UK is higher than in France, which is good. That means that you're best qualified. And namely, in the UK, the trust in customer is better, and politeness and patience is probably better as well. So bring that to France, because it would be added value as well. And then if you train your local people, there are some differences, and what French people love in trainings, of course, it's to have them in class, which means face-to-face if possible. They love role plays, they love long trainings, minimum half day. They love very participative and active trainings, and they need time to socialize. One element that is better in France than in the UK, to my mind, is delivery and logistics. So that means that we, as French, we expect high standards in delivery. And you will need to upgrade a little bit if you're UK based or UK native. The fourth element is to check the satisfaction of your first clients. So once you will start selling, then don't forget to survey your first clients, maybe not with an online survey, but interview them and check what they liked, because you will need it for your communication. Organize interviews and open discussions. And if you do surveys, do it with a platform that can be sophisticated enough to get useful informations. So just to conclude, and that this is the last slide, we can help you on all this. We are based in London and Paris. I have co-founded this startup in London first because the customer service mindset is higher in the UK, and because I was living in London at that moment. And what we do is consulting, training, and digital solution to increase the level of customer experience everywhere. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Claire. Just before going on with questions and answers, I just wanted to point out that we have developed 3 workshops, one on the 12th of May around accounting, payroll and benefits, another one on 27th of May on expanding your teams, how to train and coach talents in France, and on the 10th of June, how to manage French employees when you are a foreign manager. So if you are interested by one of those 3 topics, please register at events at Franco-British Chambers of Commerce. Thank you for all our experts. And now I think we could go on questions. So I'm just trying to get back to my stop the button. Okay.
Do you hear me, Catherine?
Yes,
Stefan is back.
Great. Go ahead, Stefan.
Yeah, sorry. Maybe if we have a few minutes, we can display my presentation.
Yes, I'm going back to your presentation.
Attendees will think about their questions.
Yes, well, you will have to be very quick.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we won't have time to answer questions.
Yes.
Stefan, here you are.
Okay, thank you. Yes, so I'm Stefan from Umbrella. So I am the founder and CEO of Umbrella, which has been created in 2012. We are an insurance broker based in France, and we are specialized in a health and life group plan for French employees. So of course, we advise our customer in order to find out the best solution for their employees. As you probably know, there is a legal duty for French employers to provide a medical, life and disability group plan for their employees, even if you have only one employee. So whatever the size, you must provide a group plan for your staff. So this is our role to help you to provide the right benefits depending of your corporate or collective agreement. So depending on your business, you will cover your employees with some specific benefits and specific levels. So we are here to guide you on this issue, on these questions. And of course, will be the link between our clients, the companies, and the insurers in order to support you and to facilitate exchange and, of course, save your time. So we are a small team, quite human, of course. We are very close for our clients. We are experts in this field because we focus only on health and life group plan, and we are quite trusted partner on the French market.
Thank you, Stefan.
Just next slide, if you just to finish, yeah, in few words, basically we can provide, of course, health cover in order to reimburse healthcare cost, life and disability, so different situation of death, temporary disability or permanent disability. And in option, if you have some people traveling in the world, we can provide assistance and security insurance in order to evacuate or to cover any medical issues anywhere in the world. So in few words, this is my knowledge and our expertise, but of course we can discuss during the workshop we have in few days. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to stop sharing my and come back to questions. So yes, we can send the slide to everybody. So we will do that this afternoon. Fiona, tout le monde, what are the documents that the CIC Bank requests to see from the non-EU national opening a company in France for the opening of the bank account? So, Philippe, would you like to answer this question?
Yes, I will try. For me, it's not an obligation to be a resident in France to open account. So, according to me, I think that we're going to see first what is the legal and the accounting documentation of your company. So for me, it's the most important thing that we're going to see first, and it's not an obligation to be resident in France because we have different decks different desks in other countries, so we could sign the document in another country. Maybe I could speak with Fiona in a workshop in a couple of days to explain that.
So we will put you in touch with Fiona, Philippe.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. Another question from Samuel. How long can you work as a liaison office before you would need to upgrade to a French bank with full tax status?
It's a good question because I have had this issue. Usually, the tax authority doesn't like that you stay as a liaison office too long because they suspect that finally you perform an economic activity. Liaison office is really to explore the market and the opportunity. There is no rules, not really precise timing, but more than 1 or 2 years become suspect, I think. But feel free to contact me and we can go further. But this reflection, this thought.
Thank you, Stéphane. From Matteo, does the legal representative of a SAS or SARL need to be resident in France?
The answer is no. There's no need. Now, from a practical standpoint, you have to bear in mind the fact that the person may act on behalf of the company. Therefore, it will need to do day-to-day business on behalf of the company because it will be the only person legally representing the company. So there needs to be someone. It's better from an operational standpoint to have someone based in France to handle the day-to-day operations with purchasers, clients, and services providers, at least business partners. But from a legal standpoint, no, there's no need to do that.
Thank you, Etienne. What I suggest is that at the end of the meeting, we will send the PowerPoint presentation to everybody with all the details of the experts. Then like that, you can get in touch with them. I've got a question about from Len Hollander. Are there special arrangements to allow UK staff of Olympic-specific UK companies to work in Paris during the Olympics game? So I think we talk about what we call in France salarié détaché, I suppose.
For the moment, I'm not aware of any specific arrangement, but there will be there are supposedly derogations for secondment of employees from abroad to France. If it is what Len is addressing in his question, there will be for sure, and the Paris 2024 Olympics are already in place in order to develop and promote the Paris region for the Olympics. So there will be things to be implemented. Yes.
So maybe we can look at it and come back to you, Len. Can the legal representative of an SAS or SARL be a TCN?
I would like to have what a TCN specifically stands for.
Claire, would you like to explain what is the third country national?
It can be a national from a foreign country. There's no longer a need for having what we used to call a carte de commerçant étranger. So it can be, we can have US nationals as legal representative of French legal entities. We can have obviously UK-based individuals as legal reps of the company. But that's related also to the question that Matteo was raising regarding the fact that the person cannot be based in France from an operational standpoint. Although it can be the case, it's better either to have him present from time to time in Paris, or to have him granting a power of attorney to someone locally in order to not to run the company, because it cannot be done. except if you have a dual legal representative. You can have, for instance, from a SAS, someone who is the president and appoint another one who will be managing director, the name from directeur général in France, which can be then a French national who will handle the day-to-day business on behalf of the company. This is what usually is done.
Thank you again. I think we are two. So I'm going to close or to the end of this session, first session of Your Expert in France. So so we will send you also with the email and the PowerPoint presentation and the link to all the details of all the experts, the next 3 workshops in order that you can register. Thank you very much. And I hope now you know everything to set up and develop your business in France. We are here to help you. Don't hesitate to call us or to send us an email. We will be delighted to assist you. I wish you a nice afternoon and see you soon. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you very
Bye.
much.